children. But I have a major issue with the Kaaba, because the Kaaba is at the center, at the core of Islam, of Islamic belief. According to the Quran, the Kaaba was the first house that was built for Allah, and it is right there at the center in the mother of cities, Mecca. And according to the Quran, again, Allah gave Abraham and his son the mission, Ishmael, the mission to establish the Kaaba for him, and then to set its final stone, and then to go out into the world and to tell the people to come to the Kaaba and to visit it and to circumambulate it and so on. So when you look at the Islamic narrative, what you see is that the Kaaba is a hugely significant thing, right at the core of Islam. I mean, everyone knows that it is right there at the core of Islam. The narrative is that Abraham himself was given the Kaaba, and he was given the mission to spread the word about it. Yet when we look at the history of the Kaaba, we see that the Kaaba is not found in history. Christians and Jews, who were the people who ran with the Abrahamic tradition and history, had no idea what a Kaaba is until Islam came forth in the 7th century and started, becoming relevant in the world.
The apostate prophet makes an excellent point. Islam claims to be the continuation of the Abrahamic religions. Yet, in Islam, Allah seems to be obsessed with the Kaaba, a concept completely foreign to the previous revelations. Why something that significant was not even mentioned in the previous revelations? Of course, the obvious answer is Muhammad, or whoever wrote the Quran, mixed Abrahamic references with his local pagan myths. The new revelations bring about a concept local to the person who is telling the story. The analogy is, guys, let's say I claim to be a prophet from the line of Abraham, although I'm Greek, okay? And I claim to be a prophet. And suddenly, I introduce the Stadium of the Agoras, which is 15 minutes from my house. And I introduce this concept, the Stadium of the Agoras, not mentioned in 1,000 plus years of Abrahamic history. And suddenly I say that the Stadium of the Agoras, the most significant place in all scriptures. Wait just a moment. And 1,000 plus years, previous scriptures didn't even mention that. They forgot, this detail. And it happened to be near the location Muhammad was born. What a coincidence, Wow. It's almost like the other coincidence. The fact that Arabs of the 7th century were very good in poetry, but not so good in moral philosophy or how to make societies. And guess what? The Quran is also good in poetry and not so good in morals. Wow, what a coincidence, Like the other coincidence, the harem cult just happens to think women should be put in bags like merchandise. Wow, what a coincidence, It's almost convenient. Or like the other coincidence, the god of 400 billion galaxies just happens to think gay people are disgusting, exactly as patriarch Arabs of the 7th century, at the same time thinks marrying children is okay, exactly like patriarch Arabs of the 7th century. What a coincidence, If I didn't know better, I would have thought Islam is exactly what Arabs of the 7th century would have invented.
So how do you guys exactly explain that, for example? Is that a discussion that you guys have? How does that exactly work? To me, it seems that... To me, it seems that the Kaaba is simply...
Why does it bother you?
Well, because to me, it seems that the Kaaba is a pre-Islamic pagan
why does it
Arab...
bother you? You're not a Muslim, so you don't have to believe it. Why does it bother you?
I made an intro. I took my dog out. Why it bothers us? Because Islam is the evil cult that created the Taliban, that 2 days ago, 100 people plus were killed. That's why it bothers us. So, Islam is an evil cult, and we want to get rid of it. And it's based in such ridiculous lies. Okay, that's why. Hamza Miat. Now you know, Islam is a political idea that wants to enslave the world under its authority. And yet it's based in such ridiculous lies. Ridiculous lies. Lies that you need to be brain dead to believe in Islam. Yet this stupid, ridiculous cult projects authority to this world. And we, decent people, want to get rid of Islam. That's why. Okay, now you know, Hamza Miat.
Well, because it proves Islam wrong.
How does it prove Islam wrong?
Because the Kaaba is, as it seems, a pre-Islamic Arab pagan element, which Muhammad simply incorporated into the Islamic religion. It has nothing to do with Abrahamic religion.
And can you prove that?
Well, you can you? I mean, it is very reasonable to come to the conclusion that it has no connection.
Well, no, you're
to
making the
Abrahamic
claim.
religion.
Can you prove it?
I can prove that it has no connection to Abrahamic religion.
Go on
as we see
then,
it.
prove it.
Yeah, I can prove it. Here,
Go on,
it takes no place within the Abrahamic biblical scripture. It has no connection. It is not within the knowledge of Jews and Christians prior to Islam. There is the proof.
Well, no,
It
that's
only-
not proof. That's an ad
it only came
ignorantium fallacy. That's not,
It
that's
only
not
came
true.
into it only
That's
came
an
into
ad,
existence
that's an ad
with the-
ignorantium fallacy. That's not proof. That's an ad ignorantium.
Okay, how about you explain?
Well, no,
how-
you made the
how-
claim, mate.
Okay, I leave it to you. How do you explain it?
No,
expect it
no.
from me.
You
How do
made the
explain
claim.
it?
Well, I would
No,
explain
look,
it this
look.
way
Okay.
because, well, you can let
But
him
Hamza, I asked.
No,
I
no,
asked
you
you-
answered that, but no way.
I asked-
Look. You made a claim. You brought
asked
your
you- I
proof.
asked you a
And
question.
Abdullah told you that's not proof. So have you got
Okay.
anything else?
Okay,
No, that's not an argument from ignorance. That's the throne delusion fallacy. You pre-assume Islam is established and we need to conclusively disprove it. And unless we do that, we disprove it in a conclusive way, in an absolute sense, you get to keep your throne. No, that's your fallacy. And it's called the throne delusion or hiding behind absolutes. In reality, of course, we just need to demonstrate that it's not reasonable to believe in Islam. Moreover, because in your theology only works if you are reasonable to believe in Islam, it's like we absolutely disprove Islam. Okay? So, it's not an argument from ignorance, it's you doing the throne delusion fallacy. Now, let me lay down the argument of the apostate prophet. Premise 1. Islam claims to be a continuation of the Abrahamic religion. Premise 2. The Kaaba has a very significant place in Islamic theology. Premise 3. The Kaaba is nowhere to be found in previous Abrahamic scriptures. Premise 4. The Kaaba has a cultural connection to the person who is telling the story, Muhammad. Conclusion, it's not reasonable to believe in Islam. That is the argument. And that is not an argument from ignorance.
I asked you the question, right? I mean, that was the initial thing that I did. I asked you the question. So the Kaaba is at the center of Islamic belief, and it makes certain claims about the Kaaba. But those claims, when you look at it, cannot be proven, cannot be properly verified. And yet the Kaaba is at the foundation of Islam. How do you explain that big lack of information, of evidence? How do you explain this huge gap between the Islamic Kaaba and Abrahamic religion, when Abrahamic religion evidently has nothing to do with the Kaaba?
What do you think the religion of Abraham was?
It's not rather. I mean, how is it relevant to the issue? How can you explain the thing? How can you explain the claim?
Look, you're acting like Islam was invented in the 7th century.
Well, my question would be this: if you want to really
Go
go
on.
down that route, is why would the son of a slave woman be important to the Jews? Why would something established by the son of a slave woman be important to the Jewish tradition and the Christian tradition?
That's not the point, though. I mean,
That is the point, because that's where the
That
Arabs
is the
come
point.
from.
but it is
They came from
Abraham
that line.
himself. It is Abraham himself.
Look his argument. He says, why Christians and Jews should care about what something Ishmael did. Okay, so the son of the slave is Ishmael. So we have Isaac and Ishmael. Arabs comes from Ishmael. So he says, why should Jews and Christians care about what something Ishmael did? Okay, let me return the question. Why God cares what Ishmael did? Why? So it's not about Ishmael, it's about God. Your God gives a prominent position of the Kaaba in your scriptures, not Ishmael. Okay, look these stupid arguments. Asadullah Ali, your God, Allah, gives Kaaba a prominent position, not Ismail. You are confused, my friend. Okay, please continue.
Isn't it, that who is given the task to establish this according to the Islamic narrative, and it is Abraham and his son who spread this whole thing to the world, and this is what Allah wants from humanity. But as you can see, for thousands of years, nobody even regarded the Kaaba as something important. Nobody even knew about the Kaaba until Islam came forth.
Again, that's
how does that make sense?
That's pointless to even bring up. I mean, it's a fallacious reasoning. It's just,
how is it fallacious? I mean,
it's an ad ignorantium fallacy. It's absence of evidence is evidence. It's not evidence of absence.
This guy doesn't know how the argument from ignorance fallacy works. First of all, the apostate prophet doesn't do a deductive argument. He doesn't need to prove his premises in an absolute sense. Islam is not a mathematical equation or a scientific premise like the special relativity that people need to disprove it. It's about reasonable to believe. Secondly, the argument from ignorance also includes expectations. Einstein predicted that if his theory of special relativity was true, in a total solar eclipse, the position of the stars will be changed in this amount. He predicted a specific amount. Then people went with telescopes and confirmed his predictions. The same way, if Islam is a continuation of the Abrahamic religions, and if Mecca is so revered in Islam and has so prominent position in Islamic scriptures, the expectation is that if we look to the previous scriptures, we will find a reference of Mecca. And yet we don't find that. So Islam failed the expectations. Now, the next thing you can do is ask why Islam failed the expectations. But that's not an argument from ignorance. Okay? That is not a debate, my friend. That is not an argument from ignorance. So forget that. You can now ask why Islam fails the expectations and give other arguments, because that's not an argument from ignorance.
I mean, look,
It's
even if
nothing to laugh
one,
at, Apostate. Look, Ridwan, it's nothing to laugh at. That's a fallacious argument. That means that you're wrong.
No, you are wrong. That's not debatable, guys. This guy is simply wrong. This is a trained philosopher. He went to the university with philosophy. You are wrong, definitely, my friend. Okay, it's not debatable. You don't know how the fallacy from ignorance works.
Press play now. Bismillah.
Actually, I believe left Islam for one day. But then I decided, you know what? I'm going to put my doubts aside. You know, I'm Muslim. I want to go to Jannah. I want to believe in Allah. And I became Muslim for one more year. And then last year, so 1 year ago, is when it when I truly left Islam for good. I was in Ramadan, and I was at a pre-iftar halaqah, and the sheikh was saying, you know, Allah holds up the sky without any pillars, and this brought back all my doubts about, you know, if the Quran is truly from God, the creator of the universe, the one.
That's a dope. Is it really? No.
that was not intentional.
Fareed got up and left us also.
Okay, so if you don't mind.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah. First off, apparently he had to go to a halakha to learn that this statement was made. Which I find really interesting if you've studied the Quran and the Sunnah, because I think that's very apparent.
For 15 years.
That Allah, says that He holds the sky up with pillars that they can't see, and
without pillars.
Or excuse me, without pillars.
Without pillars. Yeah.
So essentially, okay. So this is where we get into language and how to communicate, more so than what is actually being stated as whether it's a fact of science. And I think a lot of people, when they read the Quran, they have this interpretation in their mind, or this strange idea that somehow the message is only for people in the 21st century, or that it should only be for people in the 21st century with a particular vernacular.
Okay, as you see, guys, in this other video, there is no evidence that you can bring forward, and these idiots, we are talking for complete idiots, to doubt the Quran. There is no evidence. What the Quran could have said anything. Anything. Trees are toothpicks for Allah. They will find an excuse. Whatever. The Quran could have said literally anything. Anything. And these people will simply find an excuse. Okay? Because that is the same way they say that's an argument from ignorance, although it's Islam fails a prediction. Okay, these people apply logic. Okay, they obfuscate. How can I explain that? Okay, they always find a stupid reason to keep believing in Islam. There is nothing the Quran could have said or not said that made these people change their minds. They are blind cultists. Simple, guys. It's not evidence these people believe in Islam. It's not about evidence. Okay, it's not about evidence. It's about they love Islam like a child loves his mother. Go convince a child that his mother is not the most beautiful woman in the world, and start telling him, she's got a big nose. She's, I don't know. She's, I don't want to say bad things about women appearances, but let's say, okay, the same way you cannot convince a child that his mother is not the most beautiful mother in the world, the same way you cannot convince these blind fools that Islam is not true. Whatever you say. The Quran could have said, guys, anything. Anything. Look what comes next to demonstrate my point.
Watching this now?
Go for it.
Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Knows all things. Why is he describing the world in a way that, was the 7th century understanding of the world? Like, the sky doesn't have, okay, we know the sky doesn't have any pillars that you can see, but there's no need for pillars. Like, we're just a ball in space. Sky is just
a good old ball in space.
It's just emptiness. It's just emptiness of space. So there's no...
No, it's not just emptiness.
There's no need for any pillars, visible or invisible. And, there's many things like that, like the orbit of the sun and the moon. Why Allah describes an orbit of the sun and the moon? Like, we know the orbit of the moon is around the earth.
Right. This is annoying because, first of all, we know the sun has an orbit, and they always talk like this is a really silly point.
You idiot! How dare you, my friend? He says we know the sun has an orbit. He means the orbit of the sun around the galaxy. My friend, this is not the reference of the Quran. The Quran says the sun chases the moon. The sun prostrate every day. The Quran says that the sun every day has an orbit from how you call when the sun from the rising to when it sets up. That is what the Quran says. It is not referring to the sun's orbit around the galaxy. How dare you, my friend? Look how ridiculous is their excuses. Look how ridiculous. Okay, in other words, to be a Muslim, you need to be brain dead. That is what you are telling us. Whatever you are put forward, you need to find silly excuses. Ridiculous excuses, my friend. Yusuf, if you find excuse for this, then how you know Islam is true? Yusuf, if you find excuse for this, then the Quran could have said anything, my friend. My friend, anything, and you would have found an excuse. How you know the Quran is true then? But let's continue. It's getting even worse than this, people. Look.
Sense. But the orbit of the sun, like what orbit would that be? You know, I looked into this and I found, well, there is an orbit. It's a 300 million year orbit of the sun around the Milky Way galaxy, which has nothing to do with humanity whatsoever, because...
How does it not have anything to do?
Orbits are 300 million year orbit. That's not how it works. Let's go on.
It's completely useless. But of course, at that time, you know, the Muslims would have thought that this orbit is an orbit of the sun around the earth. And even in Sahih Hadith, Prophet Muhammad, he asked his companions, do you know where the sun goes when at the time of Maghrib? And they said, you know, Allah knows best and His Messenger knows best. And he said, it goes beneath the throne of Allah. Now we know the sun is actually still there, and it's actually the earth that's going around the sun. So, you know, this one and many other things, they didn't add up to me that why the creator of the universe is making these mistakes.
My friends, if this kind of mistakes don't make you doubt Islam, there is nothing, my friend, Islam could have said that can make you doubt Islam. Nothing. My friend, this is not even 8-year-olds make this kind of mistakes. To think, if I ask a 6-year-old kid where the sun goes every night, he will tell you, no, it's not the sun, it's the earth rotating. My friend, not even 6-year-olds make this kind of errors. What do you expect to see to make you doubt the Quran? What do you expect to see, my friend? Tell me, what do you expect to see? Immorality is ISIS. The moral teachings of the Quran is ISIS. Okay. The scientific things of the Quran is not even a 6-year-old make these mistakes. Okay. And look, what else? In order for you to doubt the Quran, what else do you need to see? How about the Quran makes an error in the first 8 words? Makes a contradiction in the first 8 words. How about that? My friend, if the Quran was 100 times less stupid, 100 times, my friend, now the Quran is a miracle of stupidity, and you still believe it. Let's say it was semi-clever. My friend, I left Christianity, which is 1,000 times more intelligent than the Quran, 1,000 times. When I was 16, my friend, you are 30-year-old donkeys, and you see this kind of stuff and you still believe. What kind of people are you, my friend? You don't have any intellectual respect for yourself. What can I say, my friend? Anyway, and it goes even worse. Let's see.
Ago, I had some doubts. I was discussing with a friend online, and he mentioned that a lot of the stories in the Quran actually come from Jewish folktales. And I was very surprised about that, like Jewish folktales. I said, no, you mean it came from the Bible or the Hebrew Torah. And when I looked into it, I found out that actually a lot of the stories are from the Talmud, which is actually the Jewish commentary and the Jewish stories and basically the rabbis, commentary of the traditions. And so it doesn't really have a divine origin.
Right. We'll stop there for this first one. I actually had a look at his website to see, because he made this claim, and I thought, I'll look into it. I searched on YouTube. There was absolutely nothing on there about this. And on his website, he had one article, which I posted to you guys earlier, which is basically just saying that that he hasn't actually got any evidence for this claim. That's pretty
interesting.
Yeah, so it's something, apparently the Talmud, or the things that he's referring to, it's possible they were also written at the same time, or that they developed, because these are just kind of like...
Guys, I have seen these references. Okay. To take an effort and see these references, and then still be a Muslim, you need to be a complete idiot. Okay, so Yusuf, the pondering soul, is a complete idiot. Okay, simple. There is no other explanation. He's a complete gullible idiot, brain dead idiot. Guys, in the Quran, there are some stories that are completely out, random stories that make no sense in the context of the Quran. Okay, suddenly it talks about Dhul-Qarnayn, blah, blue, the seven sleepers. Okay, some stories that seems to be weird in the Quran. And then, if you search, those stories are taken from Jewish folklore stories. Okay, so you can see that the Quran took in these stories from those myths, because in the Quran they are out of context. Okay, so the Quran talks about something irrelevant, and suddenly it puts a random story out of the blue. And if you read the same stories in those folklore Jewish stories, they make in a perfect context. So who took from who? Okay, so, but I will make another video disproving completely the Quran with this example. But what I like to communicate in this video is that to believe in the Quran and actually take an effort to look like this idiot and actually look and still believe in the Quran, you need to be completely brain dead. It's a character deficiency, guys. Is something wrong with his mind? Okay, that's clear. So when I calling him an idiot, I'm not insulting him. He is simply an idiot. Okay, that is clear. But that wasn't the thing I would like to show you. The next is the most outrageous thing. Look.
And I also had a big problem with the story of Dhul-Qarnayn. This tribe of how Dhul-Qarnayn, he trapped this tribe of people, Yajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog, behind a giant gate built of copper and iron. And I was wondering, where is this place? How come we can't find it? We have Google Earth and all that, and how come we can't find it? So that was another doubt.
So Google Earth. This made me really laugh when I first heard it, because I could just picture him on Google Maps zooming in, just frantically searching for this gate. But yeah, does anyone want to start off with this?
This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. I mean, just the notion that you base your geographical knowledge off of Google Earth and Google Maps shows how much you know about these things.
Guys, the claim here is that there is an intelligent species on Earth with hundreds of millions, if not, in fact, more than humans. Because humans, according to the myths, make 2 kids and they make 100. So these intelligent species, guys, are, let's just say, more than humans. Okay. So there is in this world, as we speak, an intelligent species in the hundreds of billions, trapped behind an iron wall. Alexander the Great made. Okay. And we just cannot find them. This is the claim right now. Okay. And look and listen to these guys. Okay. These intelligent species, they are taking down the wall, but they constantly forget to say Inshallah. And the wall magically comes back up. As I remember, these species, they have big ears and they sleep in their ears. These kind of things, guys. Okay, so in this earth, the Quran says that in this earth, as we speak, there is an intelligent species in the hundreds of billions that are trapped behind an iron wall Alexander the Great made. Okay. And those species, they put the wall down, but then every day they forget to say Inshallah. And the wall comes back up. And at the end of times, they will remember to say Inshallah. And the wall will come down and these species will attack the wall. Okay. Abdullah Samir says, okay, where is this hundreds of billions intelligent species in this world? Humans have looked everywhere. Where is hundreds of billions? Where are they? And they are making fun of Abdullah Samir for looking on Google Maps. Okay.
Look, to keep it simple, I went through a lot of tafsirs when it comes to the barrier. I think he mentioned it right now, or he might mention it later in the video because I watched this a long time ago. The barrier is like a sad, as far as I remember in the Quran. But in any case, the word used for it in Arabic has a different kind of notion than just a regular wall, right? It could be just simply a thing that buries something under the ground or something in between enclaves of mountains, right? Stuff like that. And there's commentators that actually said that since it's made of copper, the copper actually becomes, it kind of submerges with the rest of the environment. So, after 1,000 years, the copper will become green if the environment around it is a bunch of plants and greenery, So it becomes, something that you can't even detect.
This guy is a mean. This is the smart guy in Farid's response videos. And he made the mistake to talk to me one time on Twitter. And he wanted to make a moral argument about morality. Okay, after 2 messages, he banned me. As we were speaking, he banned me immediately. Those are the guys, my friend. Emin could not stand as a third message, my friend, with me. A third message. Okay. If he continued a fourth message, he would have left Islam. My friend. That's how much Farid response refutes people. Look what they are saying right now. They are saying that we cannot find this dam that contains billions of intelligent species because of the environment. Please continue.
Anymore on the ground because it's literally part of it right now. So I mean, and this idea that you can find it on Google Maps when the earth is so huge, is quite ridiculous because I mean, the whole idea is that God hid this civilization under the earth or somewhere in the earth behind a closed-in barrier, and we don't need to know how it looks like. It might be just something that looks like a mountain or like a big rock formation that used to be something that was built by human beings. This is common.
That's all good and nice, but you do realize that idiots like you, with this kind of evidence, project power in this world. You do realize that. The Taliban, my friend, okay, are idiots. Like, they have the evidence you are describing now. Okay. And because of that evidence you are describing right now, they project real political power. Democracy cannot come to Afghanistan because idiots like you project political power with this evidence, my friend. Millions of people suffer, my friend. Women cannot go out. Okay. Millions of people suffer for your stupidity, my friend. Okay. Islam, as we speak, with this evidence, okay, projects devastating political power, my friend. Fathom that, Emin. You idiot. Fathom that, Emin. Okay.
In nature, people build things and then they turn into natural, they turn into rock-like formations, even though when you dig up the whole thing, it turns out that what is underneath it is either a catacomb or it's like a wall that people built. So there's this huge assumption that it's visible.
Conclusion. To believe in Islam, you need to be brain dead. Either ignorant of what Islam actually says, or you need to be like these guys. Brain dead. Okay. It's not about evidence, because to a brain dead guy, whatever evidence you can... Okay, the story I just told you is more ridiculous than the Little Red Riding Hood. Literally, guys. The Little Red Riding Hood is more believable than this story. And they simply accept it. So, what kind of evidence you can put to these people to doubt the Quran? What kind? What if the Quran said the Cinderella story? So what? They will still believe. So it's not about evidence. Okay. These people are blind cultists. They want to believe in Islam, and they believe regardless of evidence. Evidence was never the issue, guys. That is what I wanted to communicate in this video. I was carried away with another video. So this will be a rough video, but I wanted to communicate this point. I will do a next video addressing the apostate's prophet points in Hamza's den, and also I will make a video about the folklore, the stuff Islam took in from Jewish myths. Thank you very much.